Thursday, April the 21st, running intervals. Nothing new as far as programming is concerned. We are running, but there's a natural progression to what we're doing. There's a rhyme and a reason, and let's talk about it. So 2 weeks ago, I would say we started to sort of run in earnest, where the weather started to cooperate, right? And so we started out with some 300s and some 200s, all with a recovery jog. And put all together, including the recovery jog, that was a total of about 2,700 meters, so less than 2 miles of running, just to kind of reacquaint ourselves with a long haul type of workout that involved running. After that, the following week, we bumped up the volume a little bit. But in order to accommodate this bumped up volume, we started to rest without a recovery jog, just flat out rest, stand still, hands above your head, breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth, that type of rest. And we bumped up the volume last week to 3,600 meters. All right, so a little bit over 2 miles, and with that 1-to-1 rest, subtract it out. This week, we are gonna run further intervals, right? Total, it's 4,000 meters, so 2.5 miles. So we're bumping up the total volume, but we're also gonna bump up the individual sustained interval. So we have yet to run an 800-meter interval, and we're gonna do that today. Only one of them, but we are gonna do it. And what's kind of the point of all this? So we're slowly taking away some rest from you, right? So eventually it becomes a sustained run where we feel confident, most importantly, in our ability to sustain at least a mile for Murph, or the 3 point whatever it is miles for our 5K in June. There's reasons why you'd want to do that. Now I can assume, and I've seen programs like Couch to 5K where you're kind of just seeing where you're at all the time. You're basically, there's no interval, there's just get up and see what your mile time is. And we take a little bit more of a tactful or strategic approach, a little bit more proven, I think, personally, at least from a CrossFitter's perspective, to do it the way that we're doing it. And I guarantee you that your mile time will, maybe not, I don't know if we're all ready to PR yet, it's only been a couple of weeks, but it will improve, or at least we are doing the work necessary to get back into running shape, assuming we've ever had one. Some other things of note today. It's a pyramid type workout, so you gotta really, it's interesting to have to log this into Beyond the Whiteboard. So first things first, logistically, we're just gonna log our total time this week. I'm sorry to keep confusing what we're doing as far as logging into Beyond the Whiteboard. That changes, we have to pick what is easiest on a week-to-week basis, and that always changes depending on the WOD. So this week, we'll just do total time, which means bust out the stopwatches this week. But I mentioned it's a pyramid. I don't want anybody to think this is a 200-meter run, a 400-meter run, and an 800-meter run. It's more like sets of those runs. We're gonna do 4 sets of 200 meters, all with a 45-second break, and then 2 sets of a 400-meter run with a 1-minute break afterwards, and then a solitary tip of the pyramid 800-meter sustained run. That's our hope, that this is a sustained run, and then a 2-minute rest, and then back down the pyramid. 2 more runs at 400, 4 more runs at 200, where the rest, the other goal of the rest is to make it so that you are sustaining a somewhat consistent run time on those intervals. So a couple of it should be kind of interesting. Now, pace-wise, bust out the pace charts, right? So while last week, because of the 1-to-1 rest ratio, that's a lot of rest. So we were hoping that every time you were fresh enough that you could always sustain your mile pace or better, especially because we were never actually running a mile. So we just hope a 200-meter run with a significant amount of rest afterwards could be done at a fast pace. Well, this week is actually somewhat the opposite, right? You get much less rest this week, so I don't expect you to be able to go as fast on a 200-meter or a 400-meter. So what we're looking for is, it'd be great if you could sustain the 200 and the 400 at your mile pace, but let's aim slightly below that for both of them, okay? Because the rest is not as much as it was last week. So we're looking at less than our mile pace for 200 meters and 400 meters, but the star of the show today, 800 meters, because this is what we're going for. We're going for long distances. That's the one where I want everybody to take it as serious as you possibly can. I want no rests on that, and I want that to be at about our mile pace, if not better, all right? You get a complete 2-minute run or 2-minute rest after that. Another thing that might be a sort of indirect consequence of doing it this way is a psychological thing. And I mean that in a good way. The 400-meter run that you run today on the backside of your 800-meter run is one of the best runs, the best feeling runs you'll ever have. You'll have the knowing that it's no longer an 800-meter run, it's half of that, and you're just coming off of a really long rest, the longest rest you get today. And for me, that just was so liberating. Basically, it just felt really good after the 800 meters. So, I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope you kind of see what we're doing. The next logical step for us is that at a point we're going to have to run a mile. And I can promise you that on the day that we run a mile, we'll test basically where we're at, but it won't just be a mile, right? It'll be an interval just like everything else. Stay tuned for what that looks like. But if you're interested in running, don't worry, we have more of it. All right, guys, enjoy.